Hello everybody, it's Nico, and here is the BMW iX. Here's the very controversial front end. There's your big grille right there. It's not actually a grille, as you probably already know. Being an electric car, it doesn't need a real functional grille. So this is actually, basically, imagine as a big sensor panel. There's like sensors all under there for the like adaptive cruise control and all the assisted driving features. So that's what this is, essentially just a housing panel for sensors. And if you look closely here, you can see in the camera, little cool heating elements. They actually heat up to melt ice and snow, so that none of that stuff obscures the sensors. You have the camera right there. And then this is covered in bugs and stuff because I drove it really far. But so it's kind of dirty right now, so my apologies. But if you scratch this, like if rock chips, because it's a big flat panel, so like this is going to get hit by rocks and stuff like that while you're driving, and it's going to chip and scratch, and that's okay because this is like a self-healing film. So if you like leave it out in the sun or heat it up with a heat gun, I think the film will like kind of close and self-heal, which is neat. Now, hold on one second, the car drives by. If I unlock it, okay, I press this little button here. Well, not a button, it's a badge. When I press that, it opens up. Now you can fill your washer fluid or screen wash, depending on where you come from. So yeah, we'll shut the headlights right there. So because this hood does not open, there's no front in the iX. So to fill your washer fluid, you just pop that. We've seen the outside of the car quite a bit. This is the base spec xDrive 50 model, so really not a lot of flashy stuff here. These are the 21-inch wheels, which are actually the least efficient. They're the middle size, so there's a 20 and a 22, and these are the 21s, and they are the least efficient, which is not great. But what's nice is they're 21s, and they have these big chunky sidewalls, so it actually rides really well. Come around here, and you've got the kind of cool, like smoked out looking taillights. They look really good. You have this like, you know, bronzish trim that goes all the way around. It extends onto the door handles here, which, as you can see, you stick it on in. And there's a little button under here, so they're not like it's not touch sensitive. It's actually a physical button that you click, which is nice. But yeah, you have this little kink here, which is kind of like i3 like. Overall, I actually think it's a pretty decent looking car for the most part until you get to the front end. I still think that the front end is weird looking. These giant, this looks a little silly, these giant little triangles here, and you have a little brake vent in there. It's an okay looking car from the front. I don't like hate it, but I don't really like it. The rest of it looks pretty cool though. So anyway, it automatically locked up. So let's open it up and go inside. So this is where the iX kind of makes a case for itself, is on the inside. So I actually think it's a really nice cabin. Like BMW's best, to be honest with you. I really do. And this is the entry level spec. So let me get in here. This is the entry level one, and it's already fabulous. Like, it's absolutely lovely. These seats, even though they're kind of flat, not super supportive for like sporty driving, they're super comfy. Really comfy seats. I like them a lot. The only knock on this car's interior is this right here. Scratchy plastic. What is that? It's like rental car grade, but everything else is really nice. This armrest here is heated, as is this one, so in terms of the seats on and stuff, they warm up, which is really nice. This little cantilever design here is pretty cool. It looks cool. You have your wireless charging spots for your phone. You can put your phone right here, but unless you have a cup holders down here. Some people can do that because they don't reach your arm and lift it, but or like that. I don't which is fine. Honestly. It's not bad. My only disappointment with having the basement part of this isn't wood. You can option this with like a really pretty wood panel that's also touch sensitive, like it has like this isn't over here, you can see things that you can't really see traditionally done, but I have to personally use that, not one, so I'm saying this is the only time I've I don't know for a while, but I don't like it. It's really cool up there, actually. And if you get the crystal effect, these are also crystal, which is cool. Seat memory, seat controls. You got this. You hit this button here. I'll show you in a sec. Let me turn the car on. So you just put on the brake, start it. It's not like a Tesla. You actually have to start it. You don't just get in and it turns on. So that's the climate control menu. I'll get to that in a moment. But if I press this heated seat or massage seat control thing, this comes up. So you can choose massage seat position and stuff. You can mess with the driver's seat there. So if I go massage, I can choose my massage stuff. That's really cool. But let me click over here. So over here it's a little bit different than normal. So there's like a home button there, media, telephone, navigation, parking sensors, suspension height, all that jazz. You have your scroll wheel for the volume, your track. There's a little back button over here, and then your traditional iDrive wheel. So let's click home. I just want to show you, this is the new iDrive 8. So it is all new, and for the most part, it's the same as iDrive 7. Like the functionality is the same. Or the user interface, excuse me, is basically the same. So you have your big chunky tile, widgets here. You just kind of scroll through. So your standards, your nav, media, all that stuff. They're customizable and whatnot. You can kind of move them around and change where you want them. So that's nice. It's basically the same though as iDrive 7. Then you have your little bar over here on the side. You're like kind of redundant media or button bar, so you can save whichever ones you want there. This is just how it came. I didn't change anything. That's fine. Everything's pretty much the same. The only big difference here is if you need to go into the menu for settings or anything, you need this button up here. So you press that menu button, and you have all of these here. Let me go to all apps. You have all of these apps, and that can get a little bit confusing. There's just a lot of them, and it can be a bit much. So it's kind of overexposed right now. There we go. It can be a bit much when you're driving to look at all of these and figure out what you're doing. Thankfully, you can customize where they go and all that. And then there's this little button here, vehicle apps. So you just click that, and now all the other nonsense goes away. And now you just have your main stuff: interior lighting, display, settings. I've fooled around with moving these to where I wanted them just a little bit, but like doors and windows, you just click and hold like a phone, and move this over here. And so these are the settings I would mess with most: interior lighting, system, stuff like that. So you just move them where you want, and then once you click vehicle apps, you know where they're going to be. So it's not a big deal, but it does get it can be overwhelming at first. The other big change with iDrive 8, and this is super important, is this right here. So you see this climate, it says climate menu, and then you have your temperature zones, your climate zones. Excuse me. There are no physical climate controls. So if you want to change the climate, you have to use the touchscreen. Click climate menu, and you have dual zones here. Now, the zones are bisected by this bar. Excuse me, sorry about that. And you have your left and right zones. Now, you can control fan speed, seat ventilation, heated seats. I don't remember what this one does. And heated steering wheel. And if I move over, you get your passenger side. And then if you just want to change temperature, you just do that. The nice thing, though, is that always stays. So if I, go somewhere else, media, whatever, navigation, the climate bar is always there. here's the new digital dials, and they're actually really nice. They look really similar to the old ones, but the graphics are obviously updated. They're much more crisp. I think they're clearer. I think they're easier to understand and see. And they're also more customizable, which is important. So if I click this button here on the steering wheel, right there, that changes. And you can kind of, focus there. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So I can see, it says, oh, I'm sorry, it's out of focus. Try to get to focus. There we go. So you can adjust the content that's in the center by, scrolling through these different menus. If you see at the bottom there in bronze, it tells you what the little menus do. So that's just a reduced view, which just shows you your speed, trip data, range prediction, so it tells you obviously how far you can go. Here's your content, your media content, or I'm sorry, assisted view for the like assisted driving features, your route preview, map, and there's your media. So now if I use this little wheel and click over to the right, you can adjust your layout. So I have it in this layout because it's just the one I like the most. It's just the cleanest to me. But you can also have a much bigger one that's wider, shows a little bit more info. If I go down one, you have this little like hockey stick style motif, which is nice and simplified and reduced, but I just like this one up here best. I think it's just the cleanest and the easiest to read. And then if I click over again once more, I can adjust my head-up display, which I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of hard to see, but yeah, it'll show you cool stuff like your route preview, your assisted driving, and all that. It's pretty cool. So it's definitely more customizable than the previous gauges. Like the current ones you'll find in like a 3 Series or 4 Series or basically any other BMW aside from the i4 and iX. These are definitely better. I like these a lot. And I'm happy that they're going to make it to like newer BMWs. Like we saw some spy photos of the X6 and the 7 Series and the i7, and all those cars are going to be getting this style. And these are much better, I think. Another funky part about this interior is the steering wheel. It's not quite a squircle like you get on the like the Corvette and stuff with the squared steering wheels. It's kind of just, but it's got like a hexagonal shape to it. And it's a little odd, and there's like points. It's like kind of pointy and angular. I like the 2-spoke design. The flat bottom is pretty cool, but I don't like I wish this part was round, and then it just kind of went to a flat bottom. I think that'd be cooler. But I do like the 2-spoke design. It's kind of neat, and it feels nice in the hand. It's a nice steering wheel. But it is annoying when you like go to turn and you have like these weird angles. It's just odd. Other than that, though, the interior is really nice. Back seat space, as you can see, I have my car seats for my children. Tons of space for them. They love it. Really good. But other than that, it's just a back seat. No transmission hump, which is nice. And yeah, I can't really go back there. I can get in the middle seat. Hold on. Oh, here's another bit. Electronic door release. So it's just a button. So you just press it, and the door pops open, and then you just push it out. Nice and easy. And then if the battery would ever die or something, you have a little manual release handle right there. So let's try to squeeze ourselves into the back seat with the 2 child seats. So let's try that real quick. Oh, and if you open the doors, you can see the carbon in the chassis. It's not an entirely carbon chassis like you'll get in an i3 or something, but it does have a lot of this carbon in it to make it light, even though this car weighs about as much as a moon. All right, so let me squeeze myself in here, close the door. Now I'm in the middle seat between two child seats. I'm actually not bad. I wouldn't want to sit back here for hours, but especially if there was a seat in here, I would have very, very little space, like shoulder space. But I'm 5'9", and I have plenty of like leg room and foot room. And you can see BMW carved out this little space under here, so you can really stretch your feet out pretty well. It's actually, in terms of foot room, it's really quite comfy. Little controls here, heated seats and all that, temperature. And then the back of the seats here, you have 2 USB-C ports on either seat. So if you want to have, kids with iPads and all sorts of stuff, you can have that. And then these little things have like BMW sells accessories. You can have like a coat rack that plugs in there, and all sorts of different accessories you can have in there. But for the most part, it's comfy back here. I actually really like it. Tons of visibility for the sun. And I forgot to point this out actually. So let's look up straight up at that. If I press this little button here, okay, watch. Now you can see the trees. It's electrochromic sunroof. And I press it again, and it's opaque. Press it, and it's transparent, and it's cool, right? Now that's not an entirely new feature to the automotive world, because Mercedes-Benz has had that for a long time. But it's new to BMW, and it's pretty neat. It's cool. I don't know if a lot of people would prefer a regular sunroof that opens, but I think this is quite a bit lighter, and it is like techier and more futuristic. So I think that's why BMW went with it, for both of those reasons. Because it's probably not cheaper, but it is pretty cool. But yeah, I could spend a lot of time back here. It's nice. Without these car seats, if it was just like, grown up sitting back here, it would be nice. Got a lot of ambient lighting, which you kind of can't see because it's too bright out, but there's a lot. It's very, very comfy back here. So yeah, this is the iX interior. It's very nice. I'm extremely happy with it. I've loved my few days with it so far. I've spent so much time in it. I've driven well over 300 miles in it, and it's really been excellent for those 300 miles. So that's it for right now. There's a big review coming with a big long range test. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, thanks for watching.